A couple weeks ago, somebody asked me, Todd, how do we prevent conflict? That's maybe the wrong question. The question we need to ask is, how do we lead productive conflict? For the answer and rule number 3 to lead productive conflict, stay tuned because this is your Weekly Kick. Hey, welcome to your Weekly Kick. Today I have a few instructions I want to give you to start with, and I hope you can hear them. Okay, what I'd really like you to do is just to go get the lawnmower from over there and bring it over to here for me, please. So what did you hear? What were my instructions? You probably didn't hear them. If you did, you didn't hear all of them and you didn't hear them clearly. Because all you would have heard were the wrenches clanging together. That's what conflict does to us. Often conflict puts us off our game. It drowns out what we really need to be hearing and what we need to be thinking about. The things that we wanted to say in a conflict situation to help resolve it, they're gone because all we can hear is the white noise in our ears and our minds because we're so uncertain of our ability to handle conflict well, to create productive conflict and to lead through that process. Well, today we want to talk about rule number 3 for leading productive conflict. Here it is. Write it down. No, I'm not saying write the rule down. What I'm saying is that is rule number 3. Write it down. Here's what we need to do. And this works for me. This isn't theory. This isn't fluff. This is very practical advice. So you might want to write it down, actually. So what do we need to write down? First, write down before we enter conflict, what do we want to talk about? What are the key issues that we need to make sure that we cover? Because once the conversation starts, and if it gets emotional or tense at all, it's so easy for us to forget what the issues that we need to talk about really are. Secondly, during the conflict situation, during the conversation, write down what they're saying and what you're saying. Sometimes writing it down helps us formulate and understand and look into what's actually being said. And we get a better understanding once we write it down and process it that way. Thirdly, write down takeaways. What do we need to do after this is done? What are the takeaways? What are the action steps that we need to deal with? Write them down. If you want, you can initial it and have the person you're having the conversation with initial it as well. That way you both remember what was actually said and decided upon. And number 4, write it down afterwards. It'll help you process what happened. And the closer you can do this to the actual conflict situation, the better, because we tend to forget or we tend to revise history as time moves further away from that event. So, write it down. That's rule number 3. Write it down before. Write down what you really need to talk about. What are the issues that you need to cover? Don't assume you're going to remember because you won't. None of us do when we get into a conflict situation. Secondly, write it down during the conflict situation. Write it down during the conversation. What are they saying? What are you saying? Where's the conversation going? What are some of the key points that are coming out? Thirdly, what are the takeaways? What are the action steps that you have committed to, both of you? And get each of you to initial it if it needs to get to that point. And lastly, write it down after. It'll help us process what happened during that conversation. Hey, if you get the chance, please share this video with someone that you know who might be able to benefit from it. Most of us are challenged with conflict, and it doesn't come easy to most of us. So if you know somebody who might benefit from it, please pass it on to them. And take the time to click the like button if it's on Facebook or LinkedIn, and even if it's on YouTube. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week on your Weekly Kick.